Welcome to Chopper's Charts. I'm here to go through what I do for a weekly review of my trades. Um, I do this typically every Saturday morning. Uh, Markets are closed, at a time to sleep on them, and get more of a unbiased view of my trades and kind of go through them and stuff. So I wanted to go through and share this journaling pattern that I do. This is Tradezella. First thing I do is I come to my dashboard and I set my date to this week. So didn't do any trades on Sunday. Usually I'll do Sunday through Saturday. Uh, but it's pretty much just this week. Um, and this week I can take a look here. I had two break evens, one loss. Down $133 this week. Uh, that's because I set my break evens that anything under 20 bucks is a break even. So that that's where I'm at. Um, for the week, it turned into kind of a feisty little week. So I kind of cooled down after Wednesday's loss. I kind of realized I need to be a little more cautious, and didn't take any more trades. This trade here, I'm pretty sure is just something aside from my regular trading. So come in here. Yeah, it is. See this? This is my one of my dividend investments that I do. Um, so we'll delete that because that's not tied into my regular trading. So I go to the trade view and pull up this week, same thing. I'll set my week, and I can see all my stats for the week, and I can see my 3 trades that I took. This here you can set up however you want here. You can get all the different columns you want. I like to see my strategy. I like to see, what was my trade management's mistakes, whether or not I reviewed them, what was the PL, and when did I take them. And so what I do here is I right click on them and I open trade in new tab, and I just go down the list and open them all up. And so now I know I can start here and I can start taking a look at my trades. Now I trade the 4 hour to 1 hour. So I look at the 4 hour for a reversal and or a pattern, a setup, and then I switch to the 1 hour and look for a confirmation of that setup. And so I take a screenshot of a 4 hour and a 1 hour, so that I can kind of go back and look at both of them. And so what I want to do is just kind of see what was I thinking here. I gave it a 3 star. I do a 3, 4, 5 or nothing. That's just how I do it. But you can rate them however you want. It's kind of like, to me, this was a C trade, 4 stars a B trade, 5 stars an A trade. I guess you could look at it that way. So C, I don't want 2 and 1 because that would be a D trade and an F trade, and we don't want those, right? So I'm looking at what I did. This was one of the break evens. I was seeing a rejection, break a previous week high, and support resistance level, set an entry point, and let it go. My reason for entering, so this is basically what was my setup seeing? What was I seeing, and what playbook was I seeing? What is how I do my, and these are all my individual trade reviews. So I was seeing on the 4 hour, seeing a reversal of the upward trend line. On the 1 hour, I was seeing a reversal off the upward trend line, bounce off of the previous week high, and a breakthrough. So my playbook was a 3-point trend line break off of previous week high with a support resistance level breakout. So I had a set a TP, take profit at 400 and trailing my stop by candle. So if I open this up, I can take a look at this. Here was my entry point. So it was a bounce. We came down, we got a little move back at the support resistance level. So we broke the support resistance level. We came back. Actually, you know what? I'm looking at this. This one I got in on this candle and it pulled all the way back. So it looked like it was a good trade coming. It looked like we broke that support resistance level. This trend line, let me clear this real quick. This trend line was probably more up here like this. And so we broke the trend line. I got in here, which would have been pretty close to giving it some wiggle room to enter. It came down, probably was excited. It pulled back. It jogged along, and then it hit my stop. No, it jogged along. It came back down. Ah, there it is. It didn't hit my stop. It started down. I probably trailed my stop to this point right here. That's part of our rule. And then I would have trailed it. This candle wasn't really strong, but because it wasn't looking extremely well, I probably just set it right here at break even. And price came out and hit me. So that's pretty much the trade. So I just now replayed that trade in my head. Was it good? Was I looking good? I really like this reversal off this upper trend line. I like that we came down, we kicked back, we just kind of were following this trend line. And it made a good break of this one. So yeah, all in all, it was good, but you know, we all know that our systems don't always work. So that's my first trade. So now I reviewed this trade, and I'll review the next one. But what I need to do now is I'm going to come here and right click on notes. I'm going to open that in a new tab. We're going to clear this. We want to go to sessions. If I open that up, you can see that's sessions recap. So I'm going to go to sessions recap and log a session. And the session lets me log the week. So now it's giving me the week. It gives me the trades, the P&L, all the factors in here. And so then I have a template called weekly evaluations. And this is my template right here. Simple and easy. So although I need to change this, let's go do this. Let's go add a template. We're going to look at my weekly evaluation because I did change this. I just didn't change this here. So I used to have stick to my plan trades and then poorly executed trades. And I really like that. But now honestly, I'm only taking about 3 or 4 trades a week. So I decided to change this. I eliminated this guy here and kept this guy and just called it trades taken. Okay, so now that's what I got. So now I have trades taken this week, lessons learned this week, and positive changes to make. That's really all I want. I'm just going to do a little bit of understanding on that. So for this, I'm going to enter, and we're going to save this template. because I like to do a little recap up here. So save that template. Close back to notes. I'm going to delete this template. And there's the new one. And so, oh, it went and gave me two. So we'll just kill that. So I'm going to come up here. Week was starting off a bit choppy. Market. Tried a couple trades for my rules that did not work out. Decided to tighten what I would take. And by that, I'm saying that, you know, I wanted to tighten, so I had my rules, but I wanted better signals. I wanted that 5-star setup only. That was the only way I was going to trade. I needed to be 5-star. I knew by focusing on 5-star only that I might jump into a 4-star trade or something, because that's just the way it is. We tend to create a mirage in the market when we're really wanting to trade. But I really kind of said, no, I don't want to trade today, this week. It just seemed very choppy, so I decided to tighten it down and be extra cautious. And I'd rather not take a trade than take another bad trade and lose more. So market never got better. And so there. I mean, honestly, this was the week. It was a simple for me. It was a simple week. If I can go back last week I had a bigger loss. Had a lot more of a struggle, a lot more things that were causing me issues. I was going through a little bit of a comparison and shame and some emotional psychology type stresses that were causing me to behave bad. And so I wanted to report all that. I wanted to kind of cover where was I in my psychology because it was struggling, where was I, and maybe what did I do to get out of that. So this week, I could say emotionally strong and focused. Kept my So I kept my discipline to my strategy, not focusing on dollars, not trying to prove myself, not trying to all these things that come with, you know, shame and comparison that I had last week. So trades taken this week. My first trade, because I opened them up in order. This is kind of the way I do it. So my first trade was an MGC trade. I just gave a pretty good review of that. I actually entered this trade, closed it Tuesday, but I think I was in it before that. But either way, we'll go look at this. So this, I'm going to come here. I'm going to say, okay, it was MGC. It was break even. Now, little note about this trade was watching a bounce off. I do a lot of abbreviations. Upper trend line and previously week high, and seeing it reverse with good signals. Now I'm going to go, what was my entry? How do I feel about my entry? Liked my entry, although I did get in early than wanted. I trade the 1 hour, so I don't like to really get in until like the last 10 minutes of the hour. Kind of gives me a little bit more comfort of what the candle's going to do. I also entered just before New York market opened, so I did get in earlier than I wanted. And before New York session. So these are things I'm recognizing. Price did move good, then retraced. So now I've got a little bit of understanding of what happened here. And then my trade management rules, were they followed? How did I do on my trade management? I'm going to say very strong on trade management. Trailing stop are my rules. My rules tell me to get to break even as quick as I can, without, getting that wicked out position. I do know that this trade afterwards continued going up, so it would have crossed my safety line or whatever. So now I've got that. I was good there. This, I know now that I was just kind of getting in. I got in. I don't technically like to get in during or before New York session opens. I usually like to wait at least a half an hour after New York session opens before I start considering getting into a trade because of the volatility. And I found myself, you're going to find out, I found myself breaking that rule twice. Both of them on these gold trades. So I'm going to push enter. And then I want to take just my 1 hour, because the 1 hour is, for me, the 1 hour is the base of my confirmation. And I just want to paste that here. And so now I've got trades taken this way. I got MGC was a break even. I've got a little bit of a description. I got a piece of the map, and then I can go to the next one, which is MGC break even. So let's go. And now I'm done with this. I can confirm it's checked off, kill that, and come here. And what did we have? Previous trade, that was the one we just looked at, returned to the previous week high and gave a great reversal off that and I took a low risk bounce play. Okay. So what's happening here is it's helping me remember what happened with these trades. I rated this as a 4. So apparently at the moment, I'm thinking this is a really good trade. My 4 hour still working off the reversal of the upper trend line. So this was probably from working off of this particular candle here. My 1 hour, I had a great reversal off of the previous day low. This is the move I should have waited for last night. So apparently last night when I took the trade that broke even, and you'll see here it broke here, came back, broke this previous day high, and this is what happened. That trade came all the way back up and retested it. And that's what I should have been waiting for. Actually, I actually don't use previous days anymore. I don't feel like the 1 hour respects it as well. So I'm sticking with the previous week high and low on my trading. So I kind of eliminated the day. It just didn't seem to be respecting it very well. My playbook was a 2 touch point trend line break with an SR with a support resistance level and a bounce off a trend line. So I took basically a bounce. I don't know why I said 2 point. Yeah, see, I took a trend line bounce. I just typed the wrong thing. So let's open that up. And that's what I'm saying, coming back and looking at. So now I'm looking, we've had a good move up. We came up here. We had a good, again, these are the things I'm trying to look at. This was a good point here. This was a good reversal up here, and it's proving itself, and it's making new lows, lower highs, lower lows, and we got this good newer support line that got respected right here, and it was bouncing back, and then I got a point B, which is right here, is a decent good rejection off of that trend line, and I saw that, and so then we came back down. I wanted to make sure I got in just before it took off, and so I got in here, and I got in there, and my entry time was 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:18. So it was over. It was 45 minutes past New York Open, so not considerably bad. It came down. It came back. Started drawing back, and then the second candle broke my action line. So I got in on the bounce. My candle broke the action line here. And so because it broke the action line, and I know that 90% of my trades that are good will not break back through the action line. So I immediately took and moved my stop loss to break even, and I got saved. I didn't have, had another candle, no problem. Got the next candle, hit it, moved up. And that's when I kind of started saying, oh, okay, we're getting a little choppy here. We could possibly be going into consolidation right here. Because we're really not getting anywhere. And sure enough, if you follow gold, you know that's what happened. So that gives me that. I know what I'm doing. I just relived this with a non-bias frame of reference. So I like the move and retest of previous week high and previous week day high. I felt confident that this was the move that my last trade should have waited for. So I saw that, bouncing that rejection coming back up. And I thought the retest, and I thought, well, that's seriously, that's what I should have waited for. You can see here the last trade, it came back up here and gave me a good bounce to start coming back down. And a retest, anytime you can see a retest of a key level or something, usually a pretty good signal. Trade did come back through action line, and I moved stop, protect capital. Right, that's what we want to do, is we want to protect our risk and make sure this is good. So we have my entry. Oops. My entry. My entry was great. Honestly, I love that entry. Plenty of signals letting me know hit my setup. It's a 4-star trade. I still agree with that 4-star trade. Sometimes I'll change it. Sometimes I'll do like a review, like I'm doing my Saturday review, and I'm looking at it and I say, oh, I gave it a 4-star setup. And then I go and look at it, I'm like, that shouldn't have even been a 3-star. Like, and that's why I say we kind of sometimes we build this mirage and we get into a trade and we journal it and we think, okay, no, this was perfect. This fit my rules. This was great and everything. Then we come back to it a couple days later after we're not so tied to it. We don't have the ego, the conviction, and we look at it again and we're going, really? I thought that was a 4-star trade, and if you can truly like say, you know what, I was wrong. That was not per my rules. This was bad. This was bad. This is it. Change it. Change it. Alter it. Let yourself know that that wasn't a 4-star, or however you rate it. Adjust it. Accept the truth, and move on to the next one. Get a lesson from it. Gain something from it. If you lost money from a trade, learn from it. Gain a lesson so that it becomes a valuable trade. Four-star trade is confirmed, and wouldn't take this one. I'd take it again. I mean, we didn't know. You never know when you're going sideways. You never know when you're going to get stuck, when the market's going to say, you know what, I'm not going anywhere. You don't know that until you've gotten knocked out. And that's why I say trade management is so important. If I would have taken this, so my initial risk was 250, and if I would have let that go up and be a $250 loss, and then the trade before that was, I think it was like a $300 stop, and let that go up and hit my $300 stop, and then this trade here was a $240, and I took a $126 loss. If you added those up and I said, oh, you know what, I'm just going to hold. I'm going to hold and hope it goes. That total right there, that would be $500, $600, $800 roughly. So I'd be out $800 right now in 3 trades. But now, because I have a rule, because I want to reduce risk, that's what they tell you. Stay in the game, right? I'm only down $130 for the week. I'm gonna make more than that in a good trade. So I if you know me, you know I preach this. You need to have a system that will cut your risk down quick but yet still allow the trade to progress. So it's really it's a tough balance, something that needs to be back tested to find out what works for your instruments and your time frame. Trade management, it was spot on. Absolutely. How do you spell absolutely? Absolutely. A great lesson and practice of protecting capital. Per my rules. I have rules. I have a reason and when I pull my stop up closer. I don't just do it automatically. I have rules that I've developed, that I've back tested, and that I know need to be done. So it's once I find a trade, once I get into a trade, everything is just pretty much just follow the rules. And got a screenshot. All right, let's go through that last trade, which I know was MBT. It was a loss. Actually, like saying non-profit. Non-profit of 126. So I had a $126 non-profit trade on MBT. Let's go look at MBT. We'll kill that one and done with that guy. Let's go look at MT. I had a 3-star. So I rated it a 3-star. So that was basically the lowest I can accept. We had a $240 risk. I had both 1 hour and 4 hour. So I like the reversals and it is looking strong, but concern is the previous week high is holding it back. Need to be ready to shrink up the stop. Oh, so I knew that this was going to be a 3. I came into this one knowing it was going to possibly be a 3-star setup. 4 hour, we were reversing at the previous week high, not strong, could be a pause. So now that's something I want to know, and I can see right now looking at the 1 hour, I'm thinking, okay, this is possibly going into gel. In fact, I even marked it out as a possible gel. 1 hour, very strong double Twizzler after a pause, setting an entry above the previous week high. Playbook 2-point trend line break with a support resistance level and a previous week high confirmation. I went back on this after I had wrote this, and it ended up being a 3 touch point. There was another touch point off my screen that I couldn't see. So usually I highlight my line. I change my line from gray to white so that I would automatically know that as I'm looking at the chart. So I'm thinking this is a 2 touch point as I'm doing it. So let's look at the 4 hour first, because that's what I like to do. We had, I have an entry up here. We had previous week here, and we had a wick here. I also had a support resistance level here that's being tested, right? It got tested as resistance, it got tested as support, got tested as support. And then we come in here, and I entered on this candle right here. So we came up, we hit it, we came down, and we rejected and came back up. And so I probably set this is my entry above this particular white candle, bearish candle, and I set my entry, and it came up and tagged it, and then pretty much went right back down. I had my original stop at the tail of this, and it was to be a bounce play, but it never, once I got this in, now I could adjust my trend line. I adjusted it before the end of the trade. It was going here. Let me show this. It was more going this way. And so that was the break of the trend line as well. And that's, you know, I was happy that we had support resistance level, we had break a trend line. We already tested this thing a few times. We rejected down here really well. So I was liking those. Those were good indicators that we could be getting going. At this time, I can't tell that this is just going to keep going this way. You know, it's going to be putting itself in jail. I have an idea, and I mentioned it. So the 4 hour looking good. Like I said, you also had this good strong move. The 1 hour, I'm looking. We came down. This was the double Twizzler that I was talking about, or indecision, and then we took off. But we're still kind of debating here. This is, you can see better where I got in. So yeah, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, yeah, that was definitely a 3-star. And honestly, now that I'm looking at it, I probably shouldn't have taken it. I should have waited. I needed to wait for more confirmation it was going to break. But apparently I knew that going into it. I knew it was going to be a risk and I was ready to cut that risk quick. It pulled back, and I remember this. It pulled back. It crossed my action line. So my trade management thoughts was spot on and could not have done any better. It kind of crossed the action line and needed to get out of it as quick as possible, which I did. So as soon as it crossed back up, we can look at this. As soon as it crossed back up, so I got in here, it came down. It had not hit my stop loss, but because this action line was this line was probably more like that. We had that action line coming through like that. So it came down, and it crossed my action line. And so as soon as we got this candle moving up, I put my stop. For this candle came up, I put my stop here. Then we got this good move here, and I put my stop right here. I'm not letting this thing come down and take me out for 250 bucks. It obviously told me right now, it told me I'm not ready to go. And so I moved it up, but I'm still giving it a chance to continue. And it didn't. It just came down, and it would have kept coming down. So I like that. I did good. I managed a trade that wasn't ready well. So let's go to the notebook. MBT. This 3-star trade with some good signals, but the overall risk of potential. So I've talked about this many times. There's different potentials, different risks, and the overall risk of potential was questionable. I think I could have waited for a better confirmation, a retest of the previous week high and support resistance level. Otherwise, my trade management was good and did well at controlling risk. So essentially, again, controlling risk. I could have lost 240. I lost 120. So it took half of what I was going to initially willing to give it. Entry. Good signals. Just not ready. Need to pay attention better to movement potential. Basically, that's what it was. I just, honestly, I think I was probably, looking to get into a trade. I had a bunch of good signals. I had a bunch of things that said that this is per my rules. Um, and I was liking it, and I just saw things that looked good. Here we had a good run up. We came back. We hit. We came back. These things I like, and it was looking good and potential. But what could I have done differently? So you can learn from everything, right? I think I should have waited, let it clear up above this level. This level obviously was strong. Let it clear up above this level, come back down, and do a retest on top better. Um, so there was hindrance. There was hindrance here, and I kind of chose to take that chance, which makes it a 3-star trade. All right, trade management was good to reduce risk per my rules. Price did pull back on action line. Oops, on action line. And so for me, that's a signal to close that trade up as quick as I can. Allow it. Maybe it's going to give me a candle or two up, and maybe I can get that risk down. So, and that's what I did. Lessons learned this week. Um, my biggest lesson this week was patience. Not that patient. This patience. Patience in waiting for the market to let me know. Um, be aware more of movement risk. I also learned that choppy markets need to be respected. And it wasn't just these instruments. All my instruments were showing signs of not knowing which way to go. And by Wednesday, I was very clear after this MBT trade that things were not going where they needed to go. Um, they were going one way, then going back the other way, going one way, then going back the other way, and it just continually happened. And after seeing that by Wednesday, I'm like, okay, I really got to cut it back. I got to be really strict. So I like that. I saw that. I like that I was disciplined enough to do that. So I did. Choppy markets need to be respected, and I didn't miss any trades. Not for my time frame, not for my instruments. Positive changes to make. I want to identify risk and potential movement. That MBT trade was a good example of that, and my first MGC trade was a good example of that. Being able to identify the risk of the movement. Where am I going? What do I got? And can I get out of it quick? So seeing it almost not like predicting the movement, but predicting, not predicting, but recognizing whether or not this could be a risk. Is there enough room to move? Is there enough play to go with? So these positive changes I need to do. I also made a good rule of a strong rule of entering trades before New York session and wait 30 minutes after. Let that volatility go. Too many times. So I'm at the charts a half an hour before New York session. I open my charts and everything, and I see something looking like it's going to break and it's going to go, and I want to get on it. And it may hit all my targets. It may hit all my points, and I get on it, and then the market opens and it just retracts. Maybe it goes another half hour, and I'm thinking, yoo-hoo, I got this one, and then the next candle is a complete reversal at 7 o'clock. So it's just a rule that I'm kind of seeing. I'm not doing well. Now I've never tracked this. In my back testing, I've never tracked it, but I'm kind of seeing a repetition, and I think, what the heck? Why not? Let's just do it. And if I see a New York Open trade that's looking good, I'm going to mark it out. I'm just going to mark it out. I'm not going to take it. Let a trade go. It's okay. No big deal. And kind of practice it that way. So we'll just make a note of that. Mark potential trades out. Do not trade them. So there's my week review. It gives me a quick understanding. I've gone through all my trades again. I've revisited them, reanalyzed them, reprocessed them. One thing you'll know that I don't do is a whole lot of like, oh, I got in at 47.22, and I don't get into those details. I want to know key factors of what was my setup. What was I looking for in my setup? Was I looking for a higher high, lower high, anything? If you use indicators, was I looking for a specific bounce off an indicator signal? Was the volume? Was I looking for the volume? Did I adhere to that? I'm looking for the setup rules and the emotional and the psychological rules. Was I disciplined to stick to my rules? What did I see that I shouldn't have done? Kind of like the MBT. We're kind of a little bit more aware that, even though I was aware when I took the trade, maybe a little bit more aware that that wasn't ready. I'm just trying to hopefully catch into this move. So yeah, it really gives you a bit of freedom. So that's how I do my weekly session review. Many different ways to do it. I hope this can give you kind of an idea. It's a great time to sit down and review your week and revisit the trades and think about them when you're not in the heat, when you're not in the battle. Try to remove your ego, try to remove your, you know, the I know what I'm doing thing, and learn. To me, it's a time to learn. Uh, Thank you for sitting through this with me. I will say that if you look on my YouTube page, there's a link for my Discord. You can click and fill out an application, and I have a Discord that I'm putting together. Started it this month of December, and it's completely a learning environment. No live trading talk, no live, you know, I made $500 on this trade. None of that. We're just focused on learning, backtesting, journaling, psychology. I would love to have you fill out an application and see where you're at, so that you can find that link on my YouTube channel. And remember, this one trade will not make you wealthy. This is one trade closer to wealthy trading. Take care. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.